Here's a really quick example of how my model works, specifically my Stoch model for the stochastic oscillator, and more specifically how I utilize multiple time frames. So if you saw my last video, you saw how I said we have this resistance over here. That's my Ichima model. My Ichima, which you can see up here, the Ichima dynamics up at the top of the screen, that is the settings for my Ichima indicator that I created myself. I had that Ichima dynamic resistance, right? So I said we're probably going to either break out above it and pump really hard, or we're going to dip back down somewhere around the circle. Well, we dipped that down right after I did the video, just before the circle. But still, you see my model, right? We hit this resistance. We attempted a few candles to break through, got rejected, came down as the Stoch oscillator down here was all the way at the top, and then it started turning down. At first, it was just going sideways. Then it started turning down, and the price came down. Now, I said we're going to dip, and then usually in this situation, we would hold at this trend line support, right? So how do we know if we're going to hold at this level? We have these two red candles. It looks like maybe it's going to dump. It can go a little bit past that trend line, then recover and get back above that trend line, and it could still be a useful and valid trend line that we can utilize moving forward. It did ever so slightly with the wick, but you see what I mean, right? It's holding right at that trend line. So even if it breaks, clearly the trend line was great and it was very accurate because it held for quite a while. Now, let's drop down to the next time frame. We're halfway down on this hourly, right? So you might say, well, since the hourly on the wave up took all this room up, on the Stoch on the way up took, this much time, on the way down, we're only kind of halfway back down. We probably need to go through 2 or 3 more of these hourly candles to have that fully reset all the way down before it can start turning up again and start that next bullish move up, right? Because again, the price just follows the Stoch when it's locked into this model like this. Well, let's drop down to the 15-minute. If we look at the 15-minute, you can see the Stoch's really low and it's bottomed out right as we're sitting on this trend line. So you can go back and see what happened the last time we were riding this trend line. It dumped really hard, right? But then it held right at the trend line. Once the Stoch started to turn up, right, the price started to go up. So it dumped, held right at the trend line, the price went up, and even within this 15-minute chart, you can see 2 candles up, 2 candles down, 2 candles up, 2 candles down, right? So then if you were to drop down to the 5-minute and look back when that was happening, now you could see it in more detail. Those 2 candles up and 2 candles down on the 15-minute chart, where each one of these candles is for 15 minutes, on the 5-minute chart, every one of these candles is 5 minutes. So even though there was 2 candles up and 2 candles down on the 15-minute, when you look on the 5-minute chart, instead of 2 up and 2 down, it's 5 minutes has 3 within each 15-minute candle. So you're actually seeing 6 up and 6 down. Now you can see it. It makes a lot more sense. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 up here. And you can see those 6 candles was that wave up on the Stoch. Then the Stoch turned and came down. And as the Stoch came down, we have right here 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, even more. So there's 8 candles on the way down as the Stoch reset. Then the price was bottomed out here. And if we look at the Stoch, that was bottomed out here. Then the Stoch did a wave up. And on that wave up, we had 5 or 6 candles on the way up and down. So here you could actually see that wave on the stochastic oscillator perfectly relates to the wave on the price action. Then you go up to the next time frame, to the 15-minute, and you don't see as much detail because you're seeing fewer candles. So on the 15-minute, you can see it bottomed out and then started going up with the price. So again, if we look right now, we're actually bottoming out on the Stoch, and it looks like we're about to turn up on the Stoch right as we're holding at the trend line and about to turn up. So what that means is on the 15-minute chart, we might get 2, 3, 4 candles here of upward activity to recover a little bit. That way, it'll eat up some of that time, because if the hourly chart suggests that we need another 2 or 3 candles to get through this hourly reset before we can start another move up, what that's saying is we might get 1 green candle going back up a little bit to buy us some time, then a couple more small red candles, and we still hold above the trend line support. So we can still maintain the bullish trajectory even though we're at the support at that trend line already. Hopefully you guys understand exactly what I mean. If you don't, again, if you're newer to trading, I don't mind teaching noobs. There are a lot of people in my trading group who are newer to trading. My premium group, I love teaching this stuff. My models are so simple. I mean, what I just explained to you, there's nothing simpler. And if you don't get it, that's just because you're newer and you don't understand all the terminology and the verbiage that I use. So if you want to join the community and learn from me and I can mentor you and teach you everything I know, I'd be more than happy to do so. And if you don't, obviously, I still want you to come back and pay attention to all this free stuff I put out, because I like to teach and I'm always going to put out some free content, even though it's not as in-depth. My premium members can get me on the phone. We could do a one-on-one voice call. We do live streams together. They can tell me, hey, I want to look at this coin. Can you do an analysis? Or, hey, I want to learn more about using Fibonacci or using trend lines. Or I want to learn more about identifying support on charts. Whatever they want to learn, I'm more than happy to teach them and walk them through it. So if that's something that would work for you, I'd love for you to join. And if not, keep coming back. And in the meantime, trade smart, trade safe.